Yo, what is up guys? Throwaway back here again with another video. So 2017 just ended. We are now in 2018. But with that said, I wanted to bring you guys my worst album of 2017. Of course, it's a rap album. And if you haven't already told by the thumbnail, it is Teenage Emotions by Lil Yachty. So this album is bad for so many reasons. The first one being that Yachty, this was the opportunity he finally had to prove all the haters wrong. He had the chance to finally prove everyone wrong who doubted him and called him garbage and said he wasn't, belonging in hip hop, and that everyone who looks up to him and, just treats this guy as a good rapper is stupid, and his whole fan base is dumb, and just everything that was associated with Lil Yachty, all the hate that he was getting when he was coming up. And this was his chance to prove them wrong. And what does he do? He releases one of the most generic and boring albums of the year. It's sad to say, because a solid project could have shut a lot of these people up, and it could have propelled Yachty even further. After coming off of Summer Songs 2, which was also felt with lukewarm reception, this was his chance to finally shine, and like I said, he just didn't deliver, and the whole album just completely missed the mark. And it seems like they kind of completely forgot the reason that we liked Lil Yachty in the first place. So first things first, I think there's too much label influence on this album. So Lil Yachty is signed to QC, the label, and honestly I think QC is one of the best labels right now in hip-hop. They manage the Migos, they're with Lil Yachty, and I know they do some stuff with OG Mako as well, or OG Mako, however you say his name, but they do some stuff with him as well. I think they're pretty good to their artists, and they support them fairly well. As you can see with the Migos, they've stuck by them for a really long time, so this is not a slight at QC, but I think there was way too much label influence on Teenage Emotions, and that's why it came out so weird. First things first, the reason a lot of people like Yachty is for the amateur style that he has. When he was coming up on SoundCloud and even on the Little Bo tape, it doesn't sound very professional, and I think that's what adds to the charm of the tape. Is it's just some amateur style dude rapping with ridiculous auto-tune. Like, it just works for what it is. But when you take Teenage Emotions and you listen to it, it sounds way too professional, it sounds way too overproduced, and it just sounds just not like Lil Yachty. Like, it just doesn't sound like it fits what he does. And when he's trying to take himself way too serious, it's hard to take him serious, because realistically speaking, he can't sing, he isn't the best rapper, and when he tries to take himself overly serious, it just seems a little bit silly. Also, there are no sailing team features on this, which is what absolutely made the Little Boat tape, and what's made it so unique was the production by his friends, the features from his friends, and just them all working together on that project. When you get to Teenage Emotions, there isn't any sailing team features, and there's barely, if like maybe 2 tracks of sailing team production on the whole thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's weird because when you hear the interviews before this album came out, he was saying he wanted to have a bunch of sailing team features. He wasn't really trying to get a bunch of features outside of that. He just wanted to work with his friends and create this album. But then when it came out, it just was the exact opposite of that. The album felt like it was chasing singles. It felt like it was trying to get on the radio, and it felt like it was trying to propel Yachty even forward, because he was the talk of the town at the time. Everyone was talking about Lil Yachty before this album came out, whether it be good or bad, and I think the label tried to come in and tried to, chase singles. They tried to chase songs that they think would get big, and overall, they just kind of failed. The good thing about this, though, is Lil Yachty has acknowledged this, and he said, yo, I'm gonna try to fix this in Little Boat 2, which is supposed to come out within the next few months. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to come out in December, but we are now in January and it is still not out. But it's good to see that he acknowledged this, and he acknowledges the problems that people had with this tape, and it looks like he's going to take a better step in the future, which is good to see. Another big problem with this album is the length of the album. So if you don't know, streams are a big part in how we perceive rappers now, and the sales are just pretty much how we perceive who's popping, who's not, and stuff like that. So with the streams, a lot of people are putting more songs on their album for more chances to get streamed. That way they get more sales. So Lil Yachty put 20 songs on this album, which is really long and really ridiculous, especially for someone like Lil Yachty, whose music doesn't have all that substance. If we were to see Kendrick Lamar drop something with like 20 songs, it wouldn't be that bad, but when you see Lil Yachty do it, it just seems a little bit ridiculous, and it seems a little bit excessive, especially when the songs themselves aren't that good. None of these songs are really that good, and the singles for the whole album, like Peekaboo and Harley, they just seem really childish, and they just seem way too silly. And I know Yachty is, like, some of his appeal is that he's silly, but these are just ridiculous. Like, they're not very good songs. They sound ridiculous, and once again, they sound way too overproduced for my taste, at least, and I just didn't like them, and they didn't really seem to catch on as much as the label was hoping for. The next thing I want to talk about is the effect on Yachty's career after this album dropped, and I think this is why it is the worst album of 2017, because this really seemed to have affected Yachty. When Yachty was coming out with this album, he was the talk of the town. Everyone was talking about Lil Yachty. Everyone had an opinion on him, whether it be good or bad. But after this album dropped, it seems like he lost a lot of his hype. He lost a lot of his, steam that he had going for him. He only sold 40K on this album, despite having 20 songs on the album, which the whole purpose was to make it so that it sold more, and then it ended up not working and he ended up flopping, and a lot of people saw that and a lot of people made fun of him, they roasted him, and it seemed like he lost a lot of the hype that he had going into the album just because he couldn't deliver. Not only did Yachty's core fan base not really like the album, but it didn't really get any mainstream attention as well. If you look at Summer Songs 2 and Little Boat, all of them have some standout songs, but when you look at Teenage Emotions, that is the exact opposite. All of these songs sound very similar and they're not really that standout, and honestly they're once again not really all that good. Despite all this though, and despite Yachty having a bad album, he ended up making millions over the year though, just from capitalizing on the hype and getting a lot of endorsements with things like Sprite and things like Target and Nautica. He's making a bunch of money through there, so it's safe to say that he didn't have a horrible 2017, but he definitely lost some of his hype, especially if you're comparing him to the 2016 XXL freshmen like Kodak, Lil Uzi. Just a lot of the guys in that XXL freshman class ended up blowing up. 21 Savage is another one. These guys all blew up and they're still taking off, and now they're all outselling Yachty, which is crazy to think because going into the XXL list, he was one of the biggest artists in that group at the time. I don't think this killed Yachty. I don't think Yachty's career is over because he released a bad album, but I think he needs to do something soon, and the snippets that we've heard from Little Boat 2 sound really good, and it seems like he's finally going back to the roots of where he came, and it seems like he's finally releasing some solid music, but only time will tell. If he does bad with Little Boat 2, this might be the end of Lil Yachty. He might lose a lot of his hype and he might start to fade into irrelevancy, but like I said, only time will tell. Let me know what you think of my opinion down in the comments down below. What is your worst rap album of 2017? Feel free to let me know down in the comments down below, and if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you dislike this video for some odd reason, be sure to hit the dislike button, and if you're new, how about you subscribe? But yeah guys, this has been Throwaway, and as always, peace out.
Bitch don't send no DMs, I said when I count checks, bitch don't send me